Hey there, how's it going? If you recognized any of those chord progressions, then you recognize the sound of the falling 7. It's a very classic chord progression in lots of different types of music. Comes in a couple of different variations. Sometimes it's major, sometimes it's minor, sometimes it's completely in the key and just walks down the scale, and sometimes it's chromatic where you're just traveling down in semitones. I just want to talk about and break down some of the most cliche versions of this thing. So let's start with the minor version of it. Okay, let's say we're in the key of A minor. So got an A minor chord. If I were to play the A minor scale, there's 7 unique notes in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If A is my 1, then G is 7, right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And when you're playing a falling 7, the chord progression normally starts with the root note in the bass, and then you start to descend down. So you got the 1, then the 7th of the scale, which is G, then F, which is 6, and then E, which is the 5th. And then you just have to try to figure out a way to play that so that you're playing the chords on the bass line at the same time. So if we have the A minor chord again, you've already got the A in the bass, because that's the lowest note in the chord anyway. And then you use the little finger that's available to play the G in the bass. And I've got to swap some of the fingers around so that this index finger is available. So now I've got A minor with the F in the bass. When the bass line changes, you could categorize each of these as different chords. You know, you could say it as there's a regular A minor 7, where the 7's in the bass. You could call that A minor with F in the bass, or you could just call it an F major 7. It's the same sound, but you could look at it a couple different ways. And then when you get to E, it's quite common to, rather than still play on A minor with E in the bass, it's quite common just to play the 5 chord. So if you're in the key of A minor, the 5 chord's normally a E major chord. So you'd have A minor, 7 in the bass, 6 in the bass, and then just E major for the 5, which has the E in the bass. So that's a completely diatonic version, so we didn't leave the key of A minor. So that's one way to do it. You can add a little bit of chromaticism, so you hear versions of that sometimes where instead of just going A, G, F, you can stick the F sharp in there as well. You also get versions which are completely chromatic. Kind of sounds like Halloween. There's something creepy about that. But a version of that might be if you have the A minor on top and then the bass line just goes. So this A minor, try it on top. It's like a half bar at the 5th fret. But everything else, this is completely chromatic. I'm just moving down 1 fret at a time. If it reminds you of this. that's what Stairway is. It's just a falling 7. But he has the addition of, instead of, or as well as the bass line descending chromatically, you also have the top line or the top voice moving up. So as this moves down, this voice moves up. It always sounds nice when you've got one voice moving one direction and then another voice moving the other. Creates a nice sound of independence. So those are the most common ways that it's done in the minor key. So let's look at A major then. So again, if I play the major scale first. So again, we've got 7 unique notes. A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. With G sharp being the 7 this time. So again, we can fall diatonically again. So we could go. And that's just, again, staying in the key, not leaving it. Or you can do, again, the chromatic approach. Also, just one thing to note is it doesn't have to be in the bass, right? The examples I've done so far, it's always been the bass line that's been moving, but you can equally put this on the top. So the descent on the very top string. So far I've been staying with the same chord mostly, apart from the getting down to the 5 chord. You don't have to stay with one chord as the fall happens. You can change chords. At the most extreme version of this, every time you descend one semitone is a brand new chord, which I'm not going to do this time. But one classic way is that if you stay with, let's say we're in A major, if you stay with A for the first couple, so if you've got A on top, regular A chord. Then when you got the G sharp, that's A major 7. If I go down one more, that's A7. Now you could just keep the A as you go to the F sharp, but what is commonly done is to change to the 4 chord. So if I'm in the key of A, A's 1, 2, 3, 4. So D's the 4 chord in the key of A. And this F sharp that we fell down to, that's now the 3rd of D. So if I play a D chord, when I get to that F sharp note, instead of just staying on A, it sounds like this. Then when you go to the F, make it a D minor. And then when you get to the E, that can go back to the A chord. So now this E is now the 5th. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I put that in the bass again. So again, when it reached the F sharp, it was a D chord rather than just keeping the A. So that's what it sounds like if I keep the A major but I put the F sharp in the bass. Sounds like that. Again, you could see it as A major with F sharp in the bass, or as an F sharp minor 7. Okay, so let's do the chromatic version. There's the D, make D minor. That's quite a common thing to add. You know, if you're gonna go full on cheese anyway. So if you have a regular D minor, but often when you do that cliche where you're in the key of A again, imagine, then you play the 4 chord, which is D, and you make it minor, right? And then back to A. But what's commonly added when you do play the 4 chord, if you make it minor, it's very common not just to play the minor triad, but to play, you know, D minor 6. So or play the major 7. So like instead of this, it's so the 6 or the major 7 or both. So kind of make it like a melody within it. So So there's a couple of examples of how to use what people might call a falling 7. They might just say a descending bass line. I've heard it commonly referred to as the falling 7 cliche. You can do it in a major context or a minor context, but you could of course go the other way, right? So it is done sort of in a musical theater context. You know, might get let's say this is E, which is the 5th of the A chord, and it's quite common not to go all the way. You could do that, but it's very common actually to get this sort of so if you listen for that voice, so you probably hear it more clearly in the key of G. So listen to this open string. So alright, hope you find that helpful. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.